Here's your heads up to this 5-minute quickie. Basically, it's just a question and also a little learning about talking from your own voice, the true voice, and recognizing the signals when you're not. Have a listen. I'm sure you're going to be really, really friggin' interested.
Warning.
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 Warning. You are entering into the unplugged mind of Paul Clough. Too late. Personal Development Unplugged.
Hey, Unpluggers. This is, just thinking out loud, I guess, because a little while ago I recorded a podcast for you all about, how we should maybe just think and learn from this festival time coming up, from festival times in the past. And I decided that, I'm going to swear in it. And I did. And I swore quite a lot. But the funny thing was, when I re-listened to it, as I was editing it, I just didn't get the feeling that I was being, genuine, aligned. It was as if I was pushing too hard. And I don't know whether it was pushing too hard or even whether I was thinking about how you would take it. Would you and do you accept people swearing and things like that? Especially when it is quite often. And then a funny thing, I was listening to a guy called Joe Rogan. And if you've heard of Joe Rogan, he has one of the biggest podcast audiences in the world and YouTube audiences in the world. And when he's with many people, he swears like a good one. F's and blinds and things like that. And yet his audience is huge. But then I listened to him and he was speaking to a guy called Darren Brown. I don't know if you've heard of him. He is one of these, he's a showman. He does NLP, he does hypnosis. Although he says he doesn't, he does some fantastic programs for Netflix and things like that. And they're really awesome, all about the mind and things like that. He does shows. And during the 1.5, 2-hour show that he did with Joe Rogan swore, I think, only once. And that was in like a reply to Darren Brown swearing twice. And I just thought, and even Joe Rogan's voice, communication, got very much more gentle and it just seemed more thoughtful. And it was like being influenced by Darren Brown, that's what happens when you have total rapport with people. You tend to get in sync with each other. So maybe when Joe Rogan is with other people and he swears a lot, they're in sync and got that rapport. I don't know. But certainly it just hit me. Now, I don't know whether you would object to me swearing now and again, throwing in the odd F-bomb if it was appropriate or if it just slipped out, We're going to find out, I think. But I'm certainly not going to put out the old, the previous podcast that I was going to talk about because I just didn't feel right. If you've got any thoughts on that, I'd love your feedback. The email, feedback@personaldevelopmentunplugged.com, and just let me know. You can find me on Facebook as well. Just search my name. But it'd be interesting just to know what your feedback is. Oh, I'm also on, what's that one, tweeting thing, at P. Cluffy. So you can find me there, give me a couple of comments there. That would be great if you would. Just a little bit of feedback to know where you are on that type of way. Because I do, when I'm with my clients, when it's right, it's right. Sometimes I do it to shock them. Not very often though, because we're just getting a rapport. I'm going to tell you a very quick story about swearing. I just thought about it. And it was with a client I had in Cambridge quite a long time ago. And she was, I'm going to say quite posh, but she spoke really well. Lovely lady. Getting on in years. Not too old, but getting on in years. And she'd come to me for some confidence or she had lack of confidence as one of her issues. And we were doing some work on it. And we did the first session. And she spoke so lovely. "Oh, Paul, that's wonderful. We'll do that. Yes." And she just carried on speaking in this wonderful tone, wonderful diction. And it was lovely to speak to her that way. Then, excuse me, the second time I saw her, and it was only for the second time, and that was it finished. We'd finished our work. She said, "Well, Paul, I just want to tell you what's happened," because we always have a little bit of feedback from the week before, see how testing the work and see how things have gone and what needs to be done. And she said, "It's quite remarkable, really, Paul, because I had a friend of mine and they phoned up. And I know they only phone up just to get something from me. And in the past, I've always been that little unconfident me, and I would always just accept what they asked for and give them what they wanted. And they said, 'I wonder if we could come and stay the night with you.' And I knew, Paul, that it was only so they could go and see other people and be in, my lovely house, but not necessarily for me. And I just told them to fuck off." It was... Do you know what? It did shock me. It really did shock me. But it was so awesome that it was like, and it must have shocked them too, and it was said in such a wonderful way. It wasn't said in like a nasty way. It was just said in a way that told them what she felt, because she'd had enough. And I think, again, we all use different languages to communicate. Now, I'd love to know, because I'm in a bit of a quandary, because I say, in my private life, I do swear a little bit, but I don't know who's listening. I don't know. If you would, as I said, I'd love that feedback at personaldevelopmentunplugged.com or at pcluffy on Twitter. Let's use those two. And just let me know. Hey, it'll be good fun whatever we do. Maybe I'll shock you in different ways. And maybe you can shock me in a nice way. Hey, let's go and have more fun than we can stand and just communicate. But the most important thing is, and the thing that I learned was to recognize, I think, this was my learning, to recognize when I'm not comfortable with myself. Not comfortable the way I was coming from. Was it my voice? No, it wasn't my voice the way I was doing that. I was doing it for an effect, and it wasn't me. And that was a good learning, because it then says, well, it's not just the way you communicate, Paul. If you get this feeling again, time to think. And then the world, the old universe comes and gives you another example, just like the Joe Rogan podcast. If you get a chance to listen to that, do listen. They're awesome. They do go on for hours and hours and hours. But get little snippets, they're great. And if there's anything you want to talk about, or you want me to talk about, please just get in touch through those two same mediums. That would be awesome. Have more fun than you can stand. And maybe just have a think of this. So many of you are now signing on to the hypnosis tracks at paulcloughonline.com/podcast. Now, why would you want to do that if you haven't done it already? And I'm going to tell you, because you keep them all in one place. There's no searching. There's no searching through 250 odd podcasts to find that one hypnosis track you want. And because they're all in one place, you can look through them and suddenly see things that you've forgotten about. And you may want to then listen to that type of hypnosis track. It's just, you've got an issue, you can go down that page and you find them. And the good thing about this is you will also receive updates via email of all the latest hypnosis tracks. So if you miss that podcast, you won't miss a hypnosis track. They're all there for you. You'll also get a few little free gifts in hypnosis and discounts onto the bigger programs that I have. It's a simple one-page part of my website with a list of all of those hypnosis tracks. And guess what? They're all downloadable and they're all free. So you get them. All you have to do is sign in. Sign in to paulcloughonline.com/podcast. It's as simple as that. That was the how, by the way. I know some people, I'm not, some people are a bit worried about people sharing emails. The reason I'm not is because I don't do it. I don't do it ever. Anyway, if you want all those hypnosis tracks, you want to get updates on your email, and you also want maybe a few free gifts and discounts on the programs, go to paulcloughonline.com/podcast. You'll love it.
Warning, you are now leaving the unplugged mind of Paul Clough. It's time to fly on your own. Be brave, my friend.
Personal Development Unplugged.